What's happening, my friends? Welcome to Freedom Friday. It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast. It's a little chilly out here in the Northeast. Got the fire going, and it's been another long work week and another crazy day, crazy week of politics, huh? A couple of lawsuits going on, some Secret Service controversy, a whole lot of craziness going on and happening today and this week. So lots to talk about. Looking forward to a good conversation this evening. We'll probably go to about, maybe between 9 and 10 o'clock, depending on the flow of the conversation tonight. I'd like to welcome Michigan and Yalligator as my two co-hosts this evening. Welcome, gentlemen. What do you guys got to say? Hop in here. Talk to me about your week. How you guys been?
Doing well, my friend. Hope that you guys are. And I just wanted to say to all four of us here today, if you didn't get a chance to listen to Mr. Kennedy speak in Holden's space the other night, he was very grateful and very thankful to everyone in the community for what we do on this platform. And I can't help but think he might be aware of what an absolutely crazy success last week's Money Bomb space was here. You know, $2,000 might not sound like much, but if you could give me a job working for 4 hours on a Friday night and it would pay $2,000, I'd probably take it. So everyone pat yourselves on the back. I'm really proud of everyone, and we'll do it again soon. How's it going, Michigan?
Oh, I'm doing great. Good to hear from both you guys and see everyone here. Share this space out. We'll get a whole bunch of people in here. Freedom Fridays is always awesome, so thank you, Ryan. But yeah, the Money Bomb was sweet. The space was awesome. There was just a reporter that reached out to us on our space who was trying to get some people or some info for some people on that space specifically. But yeah, she was just commenting on how down to earth he sounded and that she was hearing that from other people as well. And how personable he is. And that was the thing is like, I've heard him in other spaces too, but he's always like, he's either trying to figure out what spaces is, which is funny, but I mean, he is 70, so give him a break. Or he's just kind of like, he's on a plane or they're catching him in the middle of something. Where that time I think he was at his house in California and he had a chance to just kind of sit down and take a breath and actually have some talks with us. So it was really cool because I remember when he had joined the space, he had heard someone else's question from before when he was getting ready to speak, and he responded to that first, and he just was a part of the conversation. So it was awesome.
I have to think his son, Bobby the Third, really helped prep him for that and maybe got him more comfortable with the platform. Because I agree. I think he was a regular old millennial on that space the other night.
Yeah, it was nice. You just got to really appreciate the fact that he just takes the time to do that with his supporters. It's not like, some of the other candidates that have come and gone so far this election cycle have been out on X spaces. Like it's not like it's unique, but he's doing it directly with supporters versus, oh, I'm going to go have a space with Mario Nafal or a space with Elon Musk, which he did, but he had his own spaces for a little while, the campaign kitchen. I really would love to see them restart that regularly when he gets an opportunity.
And then as far as Bobby Kennedy III, he was awesome. I was in a space with him 5 nights ago. It was the first time I met him, and he was just really down-to-earth guy. The conversation was really good, and yeah, he just reminds me of Bobby Sr. for sure. It's why people are supporting him, so.
Yeah, it was cool, and it's nice to get to know Bobby the Third, right? It's kind of just kind of expands the whole campaign a little bit more, but gives you a different perspective, which I think is really cool as well. As we're growing as a community of supporters, to get to know the family a little better. It's become a very personal affair, I think, for a lot of supporters too. So I think just having that that added nuance is just really good, right? So if you guys haven't seen, the DNC has filed a complaint that there's too much collusion and collaboration going on between the campaign and the Super PAC that is out there getting signatures. And then Bobby also, and well, we'll stick with one at a time, but we'll circle to the campaign's lawsuit as well with Idaho in a minute. But let's stick with Georgia and the DNC lawsuit. One, this is really rare for me, but I agree with Crystal Ball. It's bullshit. And that's what she said in one of the clips when she was covering this lawsuit with on breaking points, which I'm not a big fan of, but I give credit where credit's due. And she absolutely was calling the DNC to task with that, even though she was acknowledging she has her philosophical differences with Bobby. The reason I bring this up is because I think what they're doing is hedging their bets there. In case that case doesn't break their way, they want to have a separate pool of signatures, maybe. I don't know. I know that last night when we were in the space with Bobby, Kyle Kemper said we were still collecting signatures there, but he didn't go into a detail about why, Tay, so I'm not sure. And I also don't know if there's any ramification, if you signed the Super PAC's petition form, you know, don't go sign another one without. I would recommend, honestly, is getting a hold of the state leads with the campaign and asking them for guidance. That would really be the best thing. We can speculate out here a little bit and kind of talk about it. And if you don't know who the state lead in Georgia is, I can ask my state lead to get us in contact, help you get a point of contact there. If not, I believe every state has an email address, which is the state, and then it's at teamkennedy.com. I'm pretty sure. I'll double check that, but I'm 99.9%. Sherry
That's
might know.
right.
Sherry, is that correct? Do you know?
Oh,
And
yes,
good evening,
sir. I
Frank.
just put it up in the nest.
Oh, you're so good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
So I
I'm
had
sorry.
And one thing just to throw out there really quick is even if we don't get the answers right now, if your state is not, if you don't already have ballot access, keep collecting those signatures. Keep trying to get your hands on more of those signature sheets as well. And that's what we're doing in Michigan is we're trying to spread the sheets around. We don't have enough right now. Go ahead, Sherry.
Yeah, I was going to say the best way to get a hold of the state lead is just to go to all the state leads have a state email address. So it's the state at teamkennedy.com. So if there's any confusion or anything like that, that's probably the best person to go to. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I think part of it too is right now, like they have to get on the ballot in 50 states. And there's a lot of states right now waiting for a vice president to be chosen. And there's states like in the works. So they're a pretty small team that's doing this across the country. So they're kind of trying to focus on each state as the signature time comes. Because basically our main focus as volunteers, like there's already a campaign. So our focus as volunteers is just to basically help collect ballot signatures and basically to create events, the grassroots events on Kennedy 24 so that we can spread the word about Kennedy. So that's a lot of what we do. Just
For sure.
setting things up and, getting the word out. Because even if you don't need the ballot signatures, the main thing is like when it comes time for the general election, we want to make sure everybody knows who he is and what he stands for. Because if they just see his name right at the ticket when they're about to, to vote, they might not know what their other option is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think as the momentum is just starting to build a lot now because for a couple of reasons. One, they're starting to see that there's a very high probability of success for him in all states getting on the ballot. Number two, it's election season now. Now the primaries are going, so people are starting to tune in a little bit more to the presidential politics overall. So they're starting to get attention, and then couple that with that fantastic Super Bowl ad, and that grabbed people's attention that didn't know he was running. To Nola's mom's point, and welcome. It's good to see you, by the way, Nola's mom. I'm really glad to see you back. It's been a while. I hope everything's okay with the family, but it's really nice to see you up here on stage. Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more. I'm starting to feel it in my own state when I was really feeling like I was in no man's land. I was the oddball in the crowd wearing the opposite hat, right? But I'm starting to see more and more friendly faces give me a nod. They haven't talked to me, but they nod in acknowledgement, so I think all of that is starting to build. So those tiny things that I would say that help the most are wearing your gear when you're out at the store. Get a bumper sticker. If you don't want to plaster a bumper sticker on your car, go on Amazon or something, buy some magnet and cut it and shape it so that it's to the size of a bumper sticker, and then you can put it on whatever vehicle you're riding in. And if somebody's giving you a ride, be like, hey, do you mind if I throw my magnet on the back of your car while we're cruising? It won't stay there. And then if you have extra ones, you give them away to people. That's even better, just like Johnny does with the buttons and everything like that. And I'm going to kick it over to Johnny here with that little lead in because he's had his hand up, and then we'll go to Dylan. But yeah, I think we are getting momentum, but it's the little things, and the more you can do sign waving events, little things like that, flyers up in your local delis, things like that, if they'll let you, all of those things will catch attention in a very, very small little way, but those little tiny things are what create the massive, snowball effect. Nobody gets a massive snowball without first starting with a few flakes of snow pushed together. So
In terms of the lawsuit that Bobby filed in Idaho with the whole VP decision thing, it sort of led some people to believe, whether they were involved with the campaign or not, that he has potentially may not have chosen his vice president, his running mate yet, which I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if that's true or not. I would imagine he has probably already, and it's just pretty much what happened in Utah all over again. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyways, that's all I really have to say for now. I'm interested to see what other people have to say about it. But thanks for letting me speak. Liberty.
Thank you for speaking,
thanks,
Dylan. If I could reply really quick.
Yep, go ahead, buddy.
I just wanted to say, so Texas is one of the hardest states to litigate in to actually get ballot access if they're going to challenge them. And so they're going to do it, believe me. And I just want you to know that I'm lumping you in with Missouri right now, honestly, where I feel like you're kind of probably feeling like you're out on an island right now because you don't know exactly what the path to victory is. It's very difficult for them to do this. But the fact that we have one of the top environmental attorneys in the U.S. on this, they're going to litigate their ass off. Believe me, and they're going to actually get this done. I'm sure they're just considering whether or not they're going to hit a roadblock, and they're foreseeing the case itself ahead of time, and that takes a lot of nitty gritty. The DNC has hired a huge law firm to challenge them at every step, so they need to do what they do, and they need to look ahead and be like, is this going to waste our time? Are we going to lose in the end anyways? Even though we shaved it down from 300,000 signatures to, I think, 75,000 if they do the Texas Independent Party. Just like they're getting the same success with the We the People Party in other states. It's like, are they still going to get challenged, and will all those signatures be for nothing? Now they have to look at the litigation behind the 2024, like the American Values Super PAC. So to see if they're going to go anywhere with that. And that's why Georgia's kind of up in there. But keep the energy positive, man. Keep your head up, because this is literally just a hurdle that when we come over, it's just going to show that we are more and more and more capable of running an indie campaign to take on the two-party system. And people are really going to feel that.
Yeah, I feel you, Matthew. I think what I would just add to that, and then we'll go to Wyatt and Tay, is that the lawsuit in Idaho, to me, is that there is very similar to Utah in the sense that they're upset with the change in the law last year. They used to have to August to get this stuff in. Now it's March 15th, right? So that tells me two things. One, they're not going to make March 15th, okay, because it's such a small window and they know it. So that's why they're litigating. And since Idaho probably has the VP attached to it, it can go either way, in fairness. It could be they don't know who the VP is right now, or maybe the person they thought was going to be VP said no, got cold feet and backed off, which I to be honest with you guys, let's be honest. The Democrats and Republicans both have $1 billion war chest for this election. Okay. So if we think that they're not going to try intimidation tactics on anybody that they catch wind of that might be talking to Bobby as a potential VP, believe me, they're getting pressured. Okay. Especially if they have ties to either party. So I would throw that out there, but I'm in a state that's supposed to open next month too. Not close, but open. And we are Connecticut is tied to the VP. We can't do anything until that VP is named. So the good news is that we have through, I think we have to have everything finalized by August 8th. So that means things have to be submitted well ahead of that, but not by, 6 months. So I think we have time. So I'm not hitting that panic button yet, Dylan. I understand why people feel what you've described about with the VP on that. But I'm not hitting the VP panic button yet, because you know what? It wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden there's a surprise announcement that just pops up in the next week or two. And if worst case scenario, if my fears are right, well, then you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Or you know what? Maybe that's where a coalition comes into play. Maybe that's where he makes a deal with Angela McArdle and the Libertarian Party and takes a Libertarian VP or something of that nature to deal with the ballot access issue and to deal with having a VP that's willing to step up to the plate. Because maybe some of the folks that live in the duopoly are a little too timid to step up to the plate. Maybe they want the job and they want to accept that position, but maybe they know it's career suicide. And even if they are safe, like we'll use Rand Paul real quick, then I'll go to Wyatt and Tay. Rand Paul is safe, right? He doesn't face re-election for another 5 years. But if he were to run with Bobby, hypothetically, and let's say they didn't win, which I believe they will win if that's the ticket. But in a hypothetical, let's say they don't, they'll strip him of all of his committees and everything else that he has in the Senate, and they will just basically make him, just somebody there, but not with a lot of power and influence. And then they won't support him when it comes time for him to have re-election in 5 years. And I think anybody in that position may have that problem. So I'll stop there with that. I'll kick it over to Wyatt, then we'll go back to Tay. So Wyatt, welcome. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's having a great day, great Freedom Friday. Hey, no, I just wanted to reiterate really quick, guys, wear your merchandise, wear your merchandise, wear your merchandise. I mean, this candidate, Robert Kennedy, man, I feel so freaking proud wearing his stuff, going out and displaying his name to everybody. It's getting the looks, it's getting the attention. People are looking at this. They're talking about Robert Kennedy. So, one last thing I did want to add is, coming from Trump, I did feel a little kind of like weird. I didn't want to wear any merchandise out because it did feel like a divisive time. But that is something that's so beautiful about Robert Kennedy's campaign is that literally I don't feel any sort of way. It's like we can all come together on this candidate. We're all facing mutual problems. And that's just what I wanted to say was get some merchandise if you can afford it and let's rock his name out there.
Hey, Wyatt, I put a picture of you out in public up in the nest so everyone can see exactly what you're talking about. Haha. And I wanted to jump in real quick before we go over to Tay and Lori and tell you guys, something I do hear from time to time from groups of supporters is that they're focused on an issue or an aspect of what's going on in the campaign. Maybe it's the VP pick. Maybe it's whether we can get ballot access in Maine and New Hampshire. That was a few weeks ago. But whenever that happens, I hear people drum up their concerns. What I don't hear, and what I'd like everyone to start saying, is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is playing a very calculated game of risk, and he does not need to focus on the borders that he doesn't need to defend right now. He's focused on the border he does need to defend, our southern border. All right, let's move on.
No, and I was just going to say, good point, Wyatt. The first night I wore my Kennedy sweatshirt out, I just threw it on nonchalant. I was excited to wear it, but I went and picked up my food from Applebee's, and the first guy I ran into was like, hey, man, nice sweatshirt. And it made me feel like this campaign was that much more real.
That is so awesome. And that's what it's about. I mean, I feel like that's what this entire campaign is about, is getting everybody together. And I think the biggest message of all with this campaign is the ability to talk again. We're not secluded. We're not all sitting on each other's phones 24/7. We're out there talking to each other, grassroots 100%, and getting his name out there, dude. And I'm freaking pumped, man.
Amen. Let's get excited. We outraised Donald Trump and Joe Biden Q3 and Q4 in small donors. Like we've come so far. We've done so much. And yeah, we still don't have a VP pick. There's going to be speculation. Yeah, we're going up a ladder right now with ballot access, but we got this. I don't remember whose turn it was. I think it was Tay.
Matthew, if I can just add one last thing to that really quick. Additionally, another thing is I do feel like there is some benefit as well to waiting on that VP pick, because there may be some I don't know how to say this, but there might be some dissident, or there might be some fallout with other candidates and their VP picks, no matter who it might be. So that's another benefit where we might be able to weigh in and say, take from that and kind of see how people respond to their picks as well. So yep, I'll end with that. Thank you.
You're so right, dude. I feel like waiting, as long as we did before Donald Trump and Bobby actually put the gloves on for just a second, inspired a little bit. You know how many Trump supporters came over? Like true conservatives that weren't really feeling Trump anymore came over before that happened. Now, it's going to be a little tougher to win them over. There's that divisiveness, but we played it well. So go ahead, Tay.
It's so funny because, Matthew, that's exactly what I was going to speak on is merch. I just literally just dropped $200 on the merch shop, on Kennedy 24, on, 2 shirts, a hoodie. He came out with this great line that says "Make Love Not War." So I scooped one of those. Y'all go look if you haven't seen it. It's really cute. A couple buttons. So That's what I was actually going to speak on. I'm so excited to get it, so excited to wear it. And also, does anyone have a line on yard signs? I know I saw someone, maybe Sarah, that had just ordered a bunch of yard signs from Vistaprint. Does anyone have a line on that? Because I would love one.
That's another thing that
Where are
you
you,
have to talk to your state lead about. So you could email that state lead email address, and that's where you would go to get those.
Okay, so yeah.
Perfect.
So actually, Melissa White sent me a bunch in the beginning. And those were the official Kennedy signs. But Sarah, she's one of my volunteers in New Orleans here. She did order a bunch from Vistaprint. She ordered like 10,000 from
Sarah's
Vistaprint.
amazing. Sarah is an amazing
Yes.
human being.
Okay. Yeah, she's great. So yeah. But yeah, she ordered a bunch of stuff. She's been kind of giving it out here and there, but she just got a bunch in. I don't know how much she paid for those, but I mean, like I said, I know that you can get some from the campaign because I got a bunch from the campaign. I got a good, I don't know, it was probably 400 of them from the campaign. Yeah.
Okay, I'll reach out.
All right, cool. That's funny y'all know who Sarah is. I'm gonna have to let her know that everybody knows who she is.
Tell her she's famous, that we love her.
Okay.
Everybody knows Sarah. Come on now.
That's great. All right.
All right, everybody, let's keep it rolling. We have some famous folks with their hands up. Let's go, Lori. Hi, how are you doing?
Hey, everybody. Happy Freedom Friday. How's it going? Boy, what a week it's been. I'm so glad to be off the air and done with the news for a little while. And I have a fun project on my agenda this weekend. I've been meaning to do it, and I'm finally finding the time. I got me some Kennedy 24 yard signs. I've got like a couple of banners that I ordered. Unfortunately, the campaign didn't have them, so I hate to admit this. I ordered them off of Amazon, but they look nice. They look good. They look legit. But anyway, they say Kennedy 24, and that's the point. But I'm taking this weekend to deck out my car. I've got a SUV, right, with a lot of windows in the back, and I'm just going to deck the damn thing out with bumper stickers and signs. It's going to be the Kennedy mobile by the time I'm done this weekend. So I'm going to be a rolling billboard for Kennedy. And I wanted to thank Kyle Kemper for inspiring me. He's the one who gave me the idea. I saw him last night. Kyle, if you guys haven't seen it, he did a really good interview with Eric and Mike Jackman, the Jackman brothers, on their YouTube channel. And as you guys know, Eric's been a great help to us in New Hampshire. He's been with the campaign since day one, a good buddy of ours. And it was nice to see Kyle on the show. And he was talking about where he got his inspiration to give his Bitcoin bus a makeover when he got inspired to join the Kennedy campaign. And he turned the Bitcoin bus into the Kennedy bus. And he kind of went into how he did it. And that inspired me to do the same with my car. So from now until November and maybe beyond, I'm going to be driving the Kennedy mobile. But let's see. On a more serious note, I wanted to follow up on something that Ryan said earlier. There might be, this is just speculation on my part, but it's logical speculation. There might be a reason that the VP announcement is taking longer than expected. I don't know if you guys have discussed it or thought about it much, but whoever the VP candidate's going to be, our security costs are going to double because we, as an independent campaign, have the responsibility of also protecting the vice presidential candidate and their family. If there's no Secret Service protection, normally on the campaign trail, the Secret Service would protect not only the candidate, but the vice presidential candidate and that candidate's family. But we don't have Secret Service protection. It doesn't look likely that we're going to get it anytime soon. And so, unfortunately, that security cost is something that we have to bear the brunt of. So if I were one of the people that Bobby was reaching out to, and I'm not, by the way, just want to be clear, I haven't been asked to be vice president, and I don't want that job. I think anybody would have to really think about that, because when you're running with a Kennedy, especially in this highly charged political environment. It can be dangerous for you and your family. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if you guys have discussed it or if you have any thoughts on it, but
Well,
I mean,
yeah. Do you mind if I jump in and say something real quick, Brian?
Yeah, go ahead,
Because
Yeah,
Alligator.
go ahead, Gator.
that's like probably the best take that I've heard, and it does get back to exactly what we were talking about, which is that he's playing a very calculated game of risk. And so if he knows that his personal security cost is going to go up, 3, 4, 5 times as soon as he announces his VP, because that VP pick, them and their family are also going to need security. For him to hold that off until it's absolutely necessary strategically is makes even more sense to me now, and I was the one who said it. So thank you, Lori, for big brain activity.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
what
really
I
good
do.
point, Lori. Honestly, I think you brought up a great point about the VP and the security piece, but I hadn't thought about that either, to be honest with you. So no, we haven't touched on that. I was reading, I forget who posted it, but somebody has a great post out, and somebody had a linked article to it. It had a compilation of all of the people that got Secret Service protection early, right? So I'll just give you guys some quick highlights. In 1979, more than 5 people got 663 days. Okay, that was the former Texas governor John B. I think it was
John Connolly.
Connolly.
Yeah,
Yes,
he was the
thank
one
you.
riding
I
in the
almost
car
spaced
with
there for a
JFK
second.
in 1963. That John Connolly.
Yep. George Bush, Philip Crane, who was a representative from Illinois. So did Howard Baker, a representative of Tennessee. So did Ted Kennedy. So, people have gotten so much. And you can go all the way from 1979. This list goes from 79 all the way to present. And there are
let me
over
just
30
add,
people.
if I could, Ryan.
Yeah, go Lori.
The interesting thing about Ted Kennedy getting this Secret Service protection, it's just an interesting story. You might not know it. Teddy and President Carter had a very tumultuous relationship. They hated each other. Let's be honest. They absolutely never got along. And yet President Carter did the decent and right and magnanimous thing. He granted that Secret Service protection to Teddy 2 months before Teddy even announced his run for president.
Yeah.
Teddy announced in November of 79, which is a year before the election, but he had created an exploratory committee a couple of months before that. So the word was out, that he was considering a run and probably would run. And President Carter, even without Teddy asking, Teddy didn't even have to request. Carter just used the power of the presidential pen to grant Teddy Secret Service protection. He didn't go through Congress. He didn't go through, there was no Department of Homeland Security then. That was created after 9/11. But yeah, Carter just did it. That's the way most presidents do it. They just use their power under the Constitution.
That makes me proud of our country, when you hear things like that. And when Biden does this, and when Mayorkas gets out, and I'm thinking, oh, he'll get it soon. And then in the time being, Haley gets it. It makes me not so proud of our country.
I wanted to ask a quick question. Nikki Haley got it through an advisory committee in Congress. Does anyone know how that went, and how does that work?
Basically, they review, I think it starts with the Secret Service. They do a protective, what do they call it? A protective detail report where they study the candidate, they study the security environment, they write a report, then that report goes to the Congressional Advisory Committee. They review it, they meet on it, and they decide whether or not, I guess in consultation with the Director of Homeland Security, they decide if that candidate qualifies or not. So if you haven't done so, please do reach out to your Congress critters, especially if your Congress critters are Mitch McConnell, Speaker of the House Johnson, Chuck Schumer. I think Hakeem Jeffries is on that committee, on that specific committee. I would advise you to not only contact the members of the committee, but to also reach out to your representative and just tell them, Congress can fix this. If there's the political will to do it, Congress could just pass a resolution ordering Secret Service protection for Mr. Kennedy if the president won't do it.
Go ahead, Johnny, and I think Nola after that.
Yes, yes. I appreciated what Lori was saying. I just wanted to say, I could see it maybe coming soon because we got Nikki Haley asking for protection, and then we have, Biden got protection in March, the year he ran, if I'm not mistaken. So, I just can't see, this guy had protection and he's not giving our guy, Mr. Kennedy, protection. That's just a whole nother level of, corruption. So we'll see.
It's malevolent, let's be honest. It just shows you what kind of person Joe Biden really is. I don't know if
It's
you saw the
repulsive.
video that Judicial Watch put out this week. Tom Fitton, he actually he's the guy who's been getting all these FOIA requests and getting all these documents out to the public about Bobby's Secret Service requests being denied. And he did a video this week where, Tom's not even, I don't know if he's in the Kennedy camp. He's probably not even planning to vote for Kennedy. But the guy was practically on the verge of tears because our government is that malevolent, that malicious, that, this should be a no-brainer for any president to just do it. Even if you don't like Kennedy, even if he's running against you, do the right thing. Do what President Carter did with Teddy in 79. Just do it. And that's all Tom Fitton was saying was it costs you nothing, Joe Biden, politically. In fact, it'll help Joe Biden. He'll look like the good guy if he just grants the Secret Service
That's the only
protection.
thing I was going to add now is at this point, with an approval rating so low, what's stopping with him, his administration from doing it? It would actually make them look more like the adult in the room that the DNC attempts to paint them as, yet they still refuse to.
Of course, it would be a propaganda win for the Biden White House. It doesn't look good even to Biden's supporters that he's denying Kennedy Secret Service protection. It's just, we can no longer look at this like, oh, let's give Joe the benefit of the doubt. Come on, Bobby's been in the race for 10 months, and we've all seen the security risks to Kennedy.
Right, and it doesn't take an expert panel to see that, the security risks are there. Just turn on the news. It's been on the news. It's like, how are they doing this to us? Nola, go ahead, and then I know Asen had his or her hand up, and then Bryce will welcome to the room.
A few things. Okay, so Sherry, thank you for that. I'm sure, like, if you talk to a few people in here, they can tell you I've been struggling for a while here. So, it'll get there. I know it. I know it will. What else? There was something else. I lost train of thought with all the rest of y'all talking.
Nola, take a second to collect. I'm just gonna jump in real fast. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Gator, do me a favor. Check your DMs real quick for me. And Nola, go right ahead, my friend.
Okay. So, and I know one of the girls was saying that Lori, I think, was saying that she bought the banner from Amazon. If they want, the campaign is not selling banners, but I do have one. If you do ask your state representative, they will. Well, I got it from Melissa White, but I know that the state representatives will send you one if you want one.
Well, thank you for telling me that. Well, I already bought it. It's too late, but I'll buy another one. I'll find a place for it.
I love your podcast, by the way. It's great.
Thank you.
So I was taught. So we just got finished with Mardi Gras, right? So I went out there with all my gear and with my Kennedy shirt on and all my buttons, and I had my little wagon, and it was chock full of stickers, and and people are looking at me like I am lost my mind. Okay. Because like I was saying, people here they don't even really realize he's running. And I get into these conversations with people and they're on the same page as us, like as far as the government is concerned, as far as the two parties are concerned. But then they end with, well, I wouldn't get your hopes up with Kennedy winning. And it's because they have zero faith that anybody other than in those two parties can win. They have zero faith, no matter if they agree with us or not. And they're still planning on voting for those people that they don't even like. And the person I'm having this conversation with is telling me that people vote for who is a part of their crew, or who the media is telling them they should vote for, but they're not doing no research. They're doing, they're not seeing, okay, well, this is what this person believes in. And because if you listen to Trump or Biden, they don't talk about the issues at all. They're too busy finger pointing and casting blame, and they're too busy, defending themselves from all these criminal charges that they have. They're not even talking about any of the issues. And the one person who is talking about the issues, people are saying, oh, don't get your hopes on and winning. And that just shows you the collective American spirit. It's like, if there is none, it's very sad, and it was very disheartening, but it did make me feel good that the people were feeling how we felt as far as the issues are contained. So if we get him on the ballot, I think that if they just see that he's running, and they know that they may not have done their research, but they know, yes, he's got to be better than the blue and the red, right? I'm hoping that at least gets us there.
Nola, I agree. I think that for a lot of voters, I really have this feeling that if we can get Bobby on the ballot, it'll be like an impulse vote, because they're just so damn mad at Biden, and they're mad at Trump too, or they don't trust Trump, or for whatever their reasons. I think a lot of people will make up their mind literally when they're standing there at the voting booth, and it'll be a protest vote for a lot of Americans, right? That I'm just going to vote for the other guy.
Yeah, exactly right. That's my feeling. So, I mean, even if people are saying, oh no, he can't win, I think when they get in that booth and they're not around everybody else, and they say, oh, well, here's a better choice, I think that might.
What do you got to lose, right?
That group thinking kind of goes away.
Right, exactly. What do we have to lose? I mean, look at what they've done so far. I mean, it's not like they're going to do any better. And it seems like it's just going down.
You know what you're going to get.
Right. And we might even get worse.
And volunteers are saying that the leading question that they ask, or the best question to ask when you want to get someone to sign the sheet for ballot access, is, hey, do you want any other choices? Like, do you want more than 2 choices? Are you happy with your choices right now? And then bam, they're like, oh my gosh, it's not really even just about like waving the Kennedy flag. It's about taking on this, uniparty and having more choices, being represented well.
Exactly.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to move on to the hands here, because Andrew's had his hand up for a while. Andrew, welcome to the stage, my friend.
And before Andrew starts, Gator and Matthew, I want to cycle some speakers too, because we have requests backlogged as well, guys. So if we drop you down, don't take it personally. You can always come back up with a re-request, okay?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that's great. And it's like excellent to have a moderator who's paying attention and like always allowing new people to flow in. It's like the type of chef that knows how to use his wrist well to cook it evenly, this culture of ours. But I just wanted to maybe, that's 2 great points have been made so far, and a point I wanted to make about the Secret Service protection issue scandal that it should be, is like, this is the first election. If we think back 4 years ago, right, or I guess 3.5, and we think back to any previous election to this one, I think the general public, or at least you could say the silent majority who we the people represent, had at least a feeling that some kind of faction in politics, in mainstream politics, some side was actually working for them. And I think this is the first election where people don't actually have that feeling. So I think a protest vote actually could happen, where people are just so fed up at the system and they do get to vote. And I really think, especially after another year of this, of like people watching the candidates, that people will think that the Democrats or even the Republicans, the party leaders, will get anything done for them. And so it's just like, let's get rid of this. Let's make Robert F. Kennedy the president. Like, fuck it. This is the first election where anyone would actually really do that, I think. So totally feel that. Now, another thing is, I've been trying to figure out like what Joe Biden and what the Democratic Party what could actually motivate them to deny Secret Service protection to a Kennedy who the Secret Service protection was created for the fact that his family had all these horrible, horrific tragedies happen because of no protection. So, like, I try to give these people the benefit of the doubt, and I try not to jump to the conclusion of politicians simply, Occam's razor, baby. They want to get power, so they'll murder in the dark. But, at this point, if Nikki Haley is already getting this congressional approval from this advisory committee, and she is not even going to be the Republican nominee for president, and what is her polling, in the single digits across the nation, and RFK's 34%. What is happening? So now I'm thinking, okay, surely there is enough of an obvious, blatant argument to boost a politician's personal, electoral chances by beating the drumbeat on this. So I was just kind of wondering who are allies in Congress, or who in Congress that is around this Congressional Advisory Committee for the Secret Service protection, who is kind of an ally of Kennedy that could just start beating that drumbeat, like so many people that, at least from my experience, I saw helped with the issue of breaking the misinformation grip of a lot of the Bitcoin nonsense, Bob. Not to get too far into those details, but getting a Congress drumbeat beat on this would be huge. And I would also say that it's I think we have to be explicit in what we're saying that this is, and I think the fact that this would be if Joe Biden gave Secret Service protection and granted it, just like Alligator said, this would boost, in theory, this would make him look better and boost his chances. So the fact that he's not doing that means he doesn't really care about his chances, and that he's just interested in his opponent dying. So I think that'd be pretty big argument to make, and it's pretty obvious at this point, but I will move on.
Thanks, Andrew.
Could I answer that question real quick? You were asking
the committee, please.
About members of the committee. The members of the committee, one of the names escapes me right now, but the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is on it. Senate Minority Leader McConnell, Hakeem Jeffries, I think, and Senator Chuck Schumer. And as far as allies in Congress, that's actually a great idea. Unfortunately, though, Kennedy doesn't have too many allies in the Congress. I do know that Senator Rand Paul has tweeted about it before, about what an abomination it is that Kennedy doesn't have Secret Service protection. As far as I know, he hasn't done anything more than tweet, but he could introduce legislation, or perhaps Thomas Massey in the House. I know that he also supports Kennedy having Secret Service protection. So once again, the great state of Kentucky is with us, but I really have to think. I'll think on it and see if I can think of any other members of Congress that we might be able to count on.
Ted Cruz did talk about it in a rant on the Senate floor.
Right.
And, I'm lukewarm on him, but Texas is a big opportunity right now. And if he's going to talk like that, I know also Jim Jordan during the Senate hearing on the censorship hearing did give a little blurb about how that's ridiculous. So I know these guys might not be, depending on what camp you came from, they might not be your favorite guys, but
great suggestions. That's yeah.
I'm going to look into an email I can compose to Mike Johnson, because I feel like he might be the weird wild card here, and I don't really love him either. But we could be friends with a mission. Let's move on to the next hand. I believe it's Johnny. Hello, Johnny.
Hey there. I had something. I forgot it. I'll have to put my hand back up.
Sorry, we're trying to keep it moving. I know Oracle's new to the space hasn't spoken yet. Go ahead, Oracle, and then JRS.
Hi, guys. I don't know how my reception is, but I was just going to say, I think that the Biden administration is just playing really, really dirty on this. And I mean, I clearly they don't want to validate him as, you know, a potential threat, I guess. But it just seems like the whole administration has been playing dirty. But I came into this space because I wanted to know if somebody could edit the Wikipedia page. I don't know if you've gone to the Kennedy Wikipedia page, but anyone who's approved by Wikipedia can edit it, but it needs to be
It's
edited
hard to
because
break through that barrier. I've been trying.
It's
Go ahead.
locked
Yeah.
completely. You can't edit
yeah,
that.
that's all I was going to say, because I think, yeah, they're playing, I mean, you know, the Biden administration is just playing really dirty on all fronts, unfortunately, and it's really sad.
And the Democratic
reading
Party.
his-
Let's not forget the
reading-
Democratic Party. They're really coming after us too.
Reading his
Yeah, well, I've never seen it like this before. I mean, it's like the lawfare, and I mean, it's just in the propaganda, and it's really bad. I mean, it's scary.
I think it's because
Totalitarian.
I think, Oracle, it's because
And I hate saying that because, you know, I was a Democrat, and it's horrible. It's horrible to see this happening.
no, you're right. And I think part of it is because of the fact that they overplayed their hand, right? They thought they were going to be able to control this. They thought they were going to be able to knock Trump off that ballot a long time ago. They didn't. And Biden has, you know, with all due respect to the human being, he is slipping further and further into old age, to be very diplomatic about it. Okay. And, you know, personally, I think it's a crime that he is still in office. And I scratch my head and I just worry for our country, because I wonder who's truly inside running this country, because I feel like we're looking at a Wizard of Oz scenario, but who's the true man behind that curtain? No offense to Mr. Biden, but it's not him. I mean, if a special prosecutor says he can't bring charges up because he doesn't think a jury will think he's good enough to stand trial, but he's good enough to hold the nuclear codes, guys, we've got a big problem. And why is it? Are they not exercising the 25th Amendment? The only answer I can think of is they're more afraid of Kamala Harris, and that just scares the crap out of me.
Yep.
Because the reality is you're electing Kamala Harris when you elect Joe Biden in 2024, right? And essentially you're doing the same for whoever Donald Trump's VP pick ends up being. So yeah, Oracle, I so appreciate what you're saying, because as somebody who is not a Democrat, but somebody who has been politically homeless, drifting from one party to the next for a very long time, I share in your frustration. And I just wish everybody would just say, you know what, enough's enough. We're going with Bobby because we need to break this duopoly, because they're just too drunk with power. They've just lost their way. You know, they've just all lost their way. And I don't know how else to say it any differently than that. So I'll land it there and go over to JRS. Thanks for waiting, my friend.
Yeah, thank you guys. I totally right there with you. I'm baffled by what's going on and the censorship. I mean, I've been a Democrat pretty much my whole adult life, and what made me become an independent and really go all in with Bobby was the way the Democrats treated him. You know, not holding any primaries, withholding Secret Service protection, but kind of going above that and the whole censorship thing. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people that really like Bobby on mainstream and famous people, and it seems like nobody's allowed to say anything. You know, like Bill Maher, for example. He had he had him on his podcast, but he hasn't even mentioned him on his HBO show. You know, and I see a lot of random people on social media that are famous that seem to be friends with Bobby. You know, but even older footage that people that seem to really like him, but nobody's talking about him. And I feel like when the floodgates open and finally something's going to happen that everybody's going to be able to come out and show their support, I think that's when things are going to really start like avalanching and building up on each other, because, you know, I feel like COVID really woke a lot of people up, because we were sort of like, you know, pushed into this mass hysteria of like,
Oh, did we lose him?
I think
I
we
was
might have
just about
lost
to say
him
the same.
there. And I will just kind of piggyback real quick off your thoughts there, JRS, which is, that it seems like some of these people who may like him, these celebrities who have a following and are friends with him, why aren't they showing support? And I think, I don't want to jinx it, but when I was a teenager, what got me motivated and interested in politics was watching The Daily Show. The host was Jon Stewart, and he came back with a vengeance this past week and reminded everyone that there's no such thing as the other sideism. It's both sidesism. And America really needed to hear that. They needed to hear it in his voice. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone who respects the health of New Yorkers, like Jon Stewart does, might remember his friend Bobby Kennedy and give him a little pat on the back this time around. We're hoping for it, brother. It looks like we did lose you, JRS. I'm going to go ahead and drop you down and move it over to a new speaker. Welcome to Independent.
Good evening, everyone. One thing I wanted to mention before I go in on the Democratic Party is that I'm not sure if people saw this tweet, but Congressman Chip Roy out of Texas has tweeted he does agree that Robert Kennedy needs Secret Service protection. I tagged him and also Congressman Massey, who I don't think is on Twitter today, because he follows me and I follow him. So he usually sees, my tweets. But in the same aspect, Congressman Roy did respond. I'm hoping Congressman Massey does respond when he does get back on Twitter. I think we need to start doing a campaign of tweeting congresspeople. Right? And asking them, do you believe that Robert Kennedy deserves Secret Service protection? Because it's time for these congresspeople to say it, right? If they don't respond, then you know that they don't really care at all. But if they do respond, and if they start responding en masse, it's going to create a wave. Right. And that's what we need. We need a wave going up to the top to force these committee members, and particularly Speaker Mike Johnson, to stand up and say, this is wrong. There's no way that Nikki Haley, that's polling at 5%. And again, I think another speaker did say, true, she's not winning the Republican nomination. I can tell you that with, certainty. Should get Secret Service protection. And Bobby Kennedy doesn't. I mean, let's be real. So that's the suggestion, is that, we start tweeting congresspeople, maybe ones that even that, we feel like would, want to be fair as it relates to Secret Service protection. I'm represented by a congressperson. I'm not expecting her to do a darn thing, but I am going to tweet other congresspeople that we think that, would be fair to say that this has to be done. I mean, let's just, I'm not even going to go there, but this would be a dereliction of their duty if anything happens to this candidate and they have not put Secret Service protection for the candidate in place. I'll move forward to the Democrats. Oh my goodness. I'm going to try and be as nice and respectful as possible as people in the room, and others may be listening. You have to realize that the Democrats have now sold their soul to whoever in the world financed them, as well as other entities. I'll say that much. They don't care. Right? Anything that they can do in order to retain the power for the people who or persons, as in more than one, who finance them is what they're going to do. They're threatened by Bobby Kennedy. They are straight up threatened. If they was not threatened in the way that they were, they would have went ahead and let him be on and run as a Democrat, do the primaries. And if Joe Biden was so strong in order to win these primaries, then that would have just allowed to be happened, right? They know it can't happen. They know it can't happen. They know if they put Robert Kennedy on the primary ballots with Joe Biden was going to get smoked. right? So with that, that's why they did the job of making sure that that wasn't going to happen. They learned their lesson from Bernie in 2016, right? And so they already had the toolbox in order to shut out any other candidates that could be a real and strong candidate in the Democratic Party. So they got Joe Biden, who everybody can see is not strong at all. And I'll leave it at that. But they will go to any means necessary. And that's what people need to realize. The morals and values of whatever maybe existed before 2020 in that party is gone, right? Like some things came and left with COVID. For the Democrats, any morals and values that may have been remaining, the little bit that was left, have left. They will do anything in order to stop Robert Kennedy because they know for a fact that if he gets the name recognition, which is definitely happening after the Super Bowl commercial, if he gets on these ballots in these states, if the drum beats keep going upwards in regards to his candidacy, which they are, it's a threat to power. And that's what people need to understand. And we have to really just kind of our hearts to settle on whatever it is by any means necessary. And we have to have that same tenacity. And I'll land the plane there.
You know, you broke up a little tiny bit there towards at the end. I want to make sure everyone hears that. They have established, they know that we're a threat to their power. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. Let's move to the next hand. I know JB is new, and then we'll go to some old friends here.
Hi guys, I'm part of the volunteer effort in Colorado to get Mr. Kennedy on the ballot, and we are already here. We're just waiting on his VP announcement, and we have everything in place to get him on the ballot. But I also wanted to speak a little bit about the fact that he's not getting protection, and that has a lot to do with I think that now that Mayorkas got impeached, I think we have a better chance at getting him some Secret Service protection. But I also just want to let everybody know I just posted a tweet, and I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll try to post it at the top in a minute, but it has every single senator's phone number and like their house phone number, like as far as when they're in Congress. And so we could just start calling, tweeting, calling, whatever we got to do.
JB, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. I'm glad to hear you guys are ready to roll out in Colorado. That's awesome. I'm in Connecticut. We're getting organized here too. We are also in the endless holding pattern that I feel like we're in. It's kind of like a jet right waiting to land at the airport. We're just kind of circling, waiting for a clear runway, right? That runway is going to be the VP pick for us. But yeah, absolutely. And so I think that it'll come soon enough, but be ready for that. And yeah, I thank you for posting that. And let's go after our Congress people, both Senate and House. I don't care. Put that pressure on them. I'm putting a tweet together right now with my folks from Connecticut, and I'm going to put it up in the Nest because I loved Independent's idea of starting to tweet at these folks. So if everybody wants to just go ahead and grab that once I have it up there and repost it with your representatives, okay, your Congress creatures, as Lori likes to say. Let's go after them right now tonight. Let's start making that momentum, and let's get this trending before the end of the weekend. Let's get to it. This is a call to action here on Freedom Friday to end the hypocrisy, because enough of this hypocrisy, because they are going to sit here and give Nikki Haley, who has zero shot of being the nominee, protection. That's fine. Mr. Kennedy even was very humble about his response to that and was glad she was being protected. But at the same time, he's also looking at it saying, nah, we don't, this isn't right. So let's roll with that. And I don't know exactly who was next, guys. Sorry, because I was kind of posting stuff. So
hey,
I don't mean to interrupt. If JB can put her tweet underneath the space and then is that possible? It can be posted in a purple pill. That would be great.
Yeah, thanks guys for collaborating so easily. I find this constant in the Kennedy supporter group. Everyone is so good at just working together. It is Andrew followed by Nola and then Johnny, but Johnny actually had his hand up last round and passed. So can we go Johnny real quick?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I wanted to echo Independent's thought there about, they'll do anything to keep our guy out. That's what Dennis Kucinich said as campaign manager, is they'd rather have Trump in there than our guy. Because Trump, he's just going to do, you can play him. You can play him. Hey, here's $1 million, brother. Don't worry about the autism epidemic. It's okay. And he'll roll. He'll roll on us. But our guy, Mr. Bobby K, he's the real deal. We get him in there. We got a chance to put things right for real. And, yeah, let's do that. And I appreciate you guys sharing about Nikki Haley. That is crazy. That I thought it was kind of up in the air yet, but is that a for sure thing? She's really getting protection. That is.
It is not. She does not currently have protection, but the pieces that need to move in that order for her to get it are heading that way. I mean, we would be able to see an announcement like that in the coming week, based on how it's gone so far.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Thank you for that.
Go ahead, Andrew, and then Nola.
Yeah, I think, definitely this is the day it's almost like with this announcement that Nikki Haley has passed the Congressional Advisory Committee to get the Secret Service, since that happened today, it was a few hours ago. This is a very clear starting gun for a political awareness bump, a political favorability bump for RFK as we push this, because this is such an obvious hypocrisy. It's even more obvious, way more obvious than it was before, because everyone understands Nikki Haley ain't going to be the nominee. So why is she getting her Secret Service protection? But Bobby Kennedy, who we all know is going to be debating these two candidates, is not going to get Secret Service. So anyway, starting gun is today, obviously. But then I'm thinking of, what's our maybe drop dead date for when Joe Biden has to take an L officially on this. And that would probably be, I think Alligator said it or somebody, like, great point. He got it himself when he ran for president, and he got it on like some day. I forgot what day that was. I don't really know that date. I think it would be great to get that exact amount of time that Joe Biden received his Secret Service protection, and then find that date for when it would pass for RFK.
It's like March 5th or something. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay, that's a month away. That's before St. Patrick's Day. So is he going to go get drunk on St. Patrick's Day and not give his, rules for me and not for thee? It would be so obvious there. And so I think that's actually perfect. It's like just under a month. It's like so obvious, or so, like such a perfect amount of time to keep people's minds on it. So I think, we've got Chip Roy, Thomas Massey, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Ro Khanna, maybe try to find some Democrats. But the reasonable ones, I think we should, the ones who are clearly, we have at least a couple who are in the tent with Kennedy now. And I think those of us who have those contacts should contact them now and get us kind of around a messaging campaign for like saying, why won't Joe Biden give Bobby Kennedy Secret Service protection? And this date is coming up, and what's going to happen on this date? And then I think we all ramp that up, us together with those congressional allies, until that date, while maybe growing that crescendo of people talking about this over Twitter. Let's take that away from him. Let's steal his thunder. Let's say, why are you trying to have this man die? He's asked for it. Give him the Secret Service protection. Stop being a politician about this. Steal his thunder. Don't let him say, okay, you get your Secret Service protection because it was my idea, and force him to with people in Congress. I think this would be the time to do it. Time to start is now. Let's go, guys.
I just want to, that was awesome, dude. And I just want to say, before we move on to NOLA, that One thing that everyone has done really respectfully and diplomatically tonight is give respect to this old man named Joe Biden, who is in charge, apparently. But let me be really clear when we do this, like kind of, we're tempted to do a little Biden hating and be like, Biden decided this, Biden decided that. Biden's not deciding too much right now, guys. And, you know, Jill, his wife, is helping him through each day from morning to night. And his team is clearly the Wizard of Oz running behind the curtain, running our government. And we all know that. We're all here to talk about it. So when you get that impulse to just say, Joe Biden will find some decency and do it. No, he's not finding anything. He can't find his shoes in the morning. Go ahead, Nola.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So if anybody wants to write Mike Johnson or the representatives, I put the addresses in the pill, whatever, the little page. And just gotta kind of scroll down to find it. I heard that, okay, as far as Mike Johnson is concerned, I heard that if you put a Louisiana zip code under your address as a return address, they're more likely to pay attention to it.
That makes sense.
I don't know his office, and like my zip code is 7003. It's super simple. So if anybody wants to do that, as far as as far as the Democrats not giving him Secret Service, I mean, we all know why that is, okay? They're hoping for the worst thing on earth to happen, right? You know they are, because they're not nice people. They're not like us, where they, they're like, oh, we're going to give them the benefit. They don't give nobody the benefit of the doubt because they're not good people. You know what I mean? So we can't say, oh, they're probably going to do this at some point. No, if we don't beg for it, we're not getting it, basically. It was something else and I lost it. Go ahead, because I can't remember.
Thank you, Nola. And we do have a new speaker. I just want to double check with an old friend real quick. Bryce, you did have your hand up. Did you have something to say, or do you need to move on and do cool Bryce stuff? Okie dokie. Go ahead, Tommy. Welcome to the room.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Tommy, loud and clear, man. Go ahead.
Okay, wonderful, guys. So yeah, Tommy Alvarez, two-time Trump supporter here, and I kind of wrote this down because it helps gather my thoughts. And this kind of feels like an intervention sanity support group admission here. So sorry for that short philosophical diatribe to unpack my awakening, so to speak. The Trump draw in 2016. For me, was the disillusionment with all the corruption. Last two elections, a duopoly, so to speak. His sell at the time was being, a so-called outsider, drain the swamp, etc. Honestly, these labels are shackles, and this is special what Bobby's doing. I don't know what it is. It's evident a lot of disillusioned Trump supporters are hearing Bobby's message and seeing he's actually been doing what he says he's going to do for, his entire life, his career. And we're just witnessing that now for a lot of people. It's a first time thing. And even if they don't agree with every stance 100%, integrity is something people don't realize means more than stance, quite frankly, in this day and age. We've had for how long a lack of integrity and sincerity and humility in politics. And that's a draw for a lot of people coming over from the Trump camp. Specifically. And I hate using these labels again, left or right. Obviously, that's what we're all here for. We've declared our independence, right? So I do hate using these labels, or as I like to refer to as shackles, or the duopoly. But does anyone have any insight into the process for reaching fence sitters coming from the Democratic side or the Democrat side? Because frankly, it does seem like a lot of the vitriol from the media towards Bobby is coming from left-leaning media. I mean, you're seeing, maybe that's why you're getting a lot of people that were prior Trump supporters realizing, what is this? This guy's full of it, all this stuff. He talks a good game, but you're getting some kind of a little bit of MSM, if not MSM access to Bobby. You're getting it from independent thinkers like Elon Musk, which isn't a darling of the Democrats. Or I mean, so is there any kind of strategy to help bring some of the fence sitters on that side? Because I think from the Trump camp, people that what I like to say, and Bobby's slogan is perfect and it's true, declaring our independence. It's almost like a self awakening or a self-awareness that's happening on the Trump side. And yeah, we can sit here and say that, Biden's senile, I hate to use these words, but yeah, what's going on, he doesn't know what's going on. Is there a strategy for reaching
Can I answer real quick and just say,
okay, no, that's it. I'm sorry. Thank you, guys.
Just mute real quick for me, and I'll hit the mute button.
Yep.
And I'll so I am or was a Democrat. I came from the left. I was born and raised in Massachusetts. My parents still haven't come around yet, but that's how I met a lot of new Kennedy supporters, was actually coming from the left. And there's plenty of that going on, despite the fact that, frankly, a lot of the vitriol, a lot of the hit pieces are also coming from the left, because, frankly, that should tell us our answer right there. Who's more scared of what Bobby Kennedy can do? The left. Go ahead, Bryce.
This is the most serious Freedom Friday I think I have ever been a part of. I'm not going to lie. I came on here and I smoked a little before because I thought we were going to get, a little goofy. And
Me too, Bryce.
I feel like I'm on Meet the Fucking Press today. And,
sorry.
Hi, everybody. Can we get the
Hi,
bugs out of
Bryce.
our ass and, have some fun?
Yes, sir.
Bryce, I was going to say something earlier. Can we incorporate some jokes in this?
Before we move forward, I just really want to say something to Tommy, like
Go ahead.
really, really bad. Dude, just want to say welcome to Bobby Kennedy's campaign as a two-time Trump supporter as well. Just want to give you a friendly, warm welcome. I want to let you know that coming straight from Trump and not, another candidate like DeSantis and then him, you're kind of a unicorn in this field, just like myself. I give you a follow, brother. If you need anything, let me know. And I just wanted to answer quickly in terms of how can we pull those Democrat voters? How can we pull them over to Robert Kennedy? Honestly, dude, and I'm just going to give everyone a no bullshit answer. I'm not trying to offend any Democrats, or former Democrats, maybe in the room, but we have to access our emotions. Like, I know that sounds super corny, but we have to show humility and basically open that. We have to be the ones, in my personal opinion, to show the leadership, open the dialogue, and get to their, if you're, I don't know, I see that you're former military and we had those color tests, right? You got your blue personality, your green personality. I don't know if you ever went through that, but, there's a lot of blue personality, that emotional type on the liberal side. And that's not to offend you guys. And that's a great trait to have in certain regards. But my personal experience, I was actually able to really make an awesome connection with a, not to be rude, but like super far left, it seemed, a guy who was a lot of extreme stuff in his bio. It was obviously a real person. But I know that he really cares about this country, and we really care about this country. And if we just keep it in the front of our minds when we're speaking to any American that they genuinely want what's best for this country, it makes that barricade go down in your own mind. So what I'm getting at is empathy, man. Like, if we can just take the leadership to open that conversation and start that conversation, let's be the one to start it, man. Welcome.
Amen.
Did he just say do all of this with humility? Gator, did he say that?
Yeah.
I'm out.
And that's the beauty of all this, is what I'm saying, is it's, having these blinders on for the last few years and realizing that there's not, we're all Americans, and what Bobby's doing and what all of us here are doing is just, that I guess the wool was pulled over for a lot of people's eyes, at least on the right side, I want to call it, because I'm not on the right. I'm an American, just like we all are here, and the wool was pulled over with empty promises and vitriol on that side, and this and that, and it tapped into this just really dark place for a lot of people who were just fed up and wanted to burn the thing down. Really, that's what it was. And but you're seeing this now train wreck happening, and it was like, well, there was nothing there, at least for the Trump campaign, seeing that there was no sincerity, there was no humility, there was no follow through, there was no empathy. Okay, and again, yeah, being a veteran, I mean, you're overseas, you're going to an unjust war, thinking you're serving your country. You're told that you're doing your duty, and you go there and you see kids with no shoes on. They don't have running water. You're feeding them, and you're wondering what all of this is about. Why all of this was the justifications for the war, all this stuff, and then he's saying all this stuff like, oh, well, we're gonna pull our troops out, we're gonna do all this stuff, but it was all talking points, because at the end of the day, he doesn't have, in my opinion, that heart that Bobby has. He doesn't. If Trump is self-serving, we can see that. I mean, if you don't kiss the ring, right? I hate to get into these politics, but that's what we're really seeing now. I mean, he's burning all his own bridges. It's not, whether it's effective or not, for policy making, and it's not. But aside from all that, you're right. It is all about empathy, and that's where you're seeing a lot of people saying, "Wow, maybe I did drink the Kool-Aid, and this is not good. This is not good."
Well, Tommy, I'm coming from, as a former Democrat, we're saying the same thing. So yeah, maybe we did drink the Kool-Aid, and I'm glad people are waking up to it. So much love to you, brother.
And let's move
Tommy,
over
I just muted you real quick because we're getting some bad feedback, brother. So when you're done speaking, if you can remember to mute, my friend, that would be great. And feel free to raise a hand if you want to add in again. I think it was Bryce, correct, guys? If not, it was Independent, one of the two. Sorry, losing track.
Independent has had her hand up for a while, and she gave a great speech earlier. Let's just get her in here real quick.
Yeah, that's cool. I agree.
Fellow
Thank you.
Michigander, what up?
Oh, how are you? Okay, so I'm trying not to be too long-winded. So as like Ryan, a former Democrat, who was very involved in the party, in the state level, we need 35% of them. And I think that is possible. So, okay. So, yeah, I do believe that what Ryan said, we need to, gently handle some of them. Others, though, you're going to have to tell the hard truth too, right? Bobby put out a great, or at least the Blacks for Kennedy campaign put out a great video today that I hope gets some viral traction in regards to him talking about and standing up for girls' sports, right? For women and girls in sports, where he says he understands, gender ideology, and some people have gender dysphoria. However, women and girls basically still need to have their spaces in order to be in the sports world, whether that's in high school, whether that's in middle school, whether that's in college. He also, and I was so glad he did this today, he brought back that Teddy Kennedy, his uncle, was the creator of Title IX, which is true. We would not have had Title IX. We would not have had Title IX without Teddy Kennedy. So, that's just one fact that needs to be, if you have some, people that that are Democrats that are on the fence of, they're like, okay, we just feel like we just have to vote for Joe. Start giving these facts to them. Right? Because when you say the name Teddy Kennedy to Democrats, they should get a warm heart, right? In most cases, right? And so that's something to go and start basically going forward with. You also have to kick back a little bit on these environmental issues, right? Okay, so first things first, Bobby Kennedy was an environmental lawyer. And of course, we want to protect the environment just as much as everyone else. But you have to flip this to the Democrats, which is true, are even selling out on the environment. And they're selling out as it relates to local control and communities that are trying to protect their communities. Whether we're talking about their efforts to put battery manufacturing plants near water streams, which has happened here in Michigan and Marshall.
Which has happened here in North Carolina, and our entire main creek is closed now. Thank you.
Yes, you know what? Thank you for mentioning that. Whether we're talking about basically wanting to put wind farms everywhere, right? Here's the problem. No one's against wind, however, or wind farms. But you also have to look at the fact that those wind farms come off with a red light, right? And that red light can be very disturbing to the humans for sleeping, for being able to operate. Now, they haven't said anything about that. They're also not saying anything about what happens when the solar panels don't work anymore. Like, where are you putting those solar panels? In fact, they don't care about saying that because they're getting paid from people who may want to put solar panels in every piece of farmland that's available. Right? Then you won't have nothing to eat. But in the same aspect, they don't even care what happens after they get put down because they've got paid. So their environmental argument, I'm sorry, it's straight BS. If you're going to have an environmental argument, you have to talk about the beginning, the middle, and the end. What happens to these things, right? Solar, wind, battery, when they're near water, when they're no longer usable, right? If they create an environmental hazard. These are the same Democrats. And I know this, and I'm sure Michigan will know this, that literally brung up, I guess you could say, a tsunami in regards to what happened in the Flint water crisis in the state of Michigan, which everybody across the country knows, but don't have any problems whatsoever sitting a battery manufacturing plant near a creek or a water resource, which is the same thing that happened in the Flint water crisis, right? It was contaminated water. So,
well, independent, and I just want to say really quick, I live in Holland, so we got the LG, the plant over here, and there's a lot of manufacturing in Holland that's like literally right here on the water plant. You got the Kalamazoo River, it's got the PFAS in it. So of course Kennedy has litigated all over Michigan for these things. But I just want to say his stance on it's a common sense approach, and it's saying, you know, wind and solar are okay, but it's got to be feasible and it's got to make sense money wise and stuff. And I think he's more going after the the subsidies that we're giving the people in the energy sector, the private sector. He wants to end that and let, you know, free market capitalism, you know, if it's cheaper to do wind, then let's do wind. If it's cheaper to do solar, then let's do solar. But let's not make, you know, fake arguments for like certain things here and there, is what he's saying. So
you could burn prime rib if you want to make energy.
Amen. That's what he says.
Right.
But let's find the best way. Let's find the right way. And I don't mean to cut you off either. Independent. I want to give you like.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off either.
Yeah, I want to let you. No. We do have hands up, so let's wrap.
Yeah, I will go ahead and land my plane here, but I just want to make sure that people know that we need 35 to 40%. And I can tell you right now, in the African American community, there is a lot of wavering around Joe Biden. That community, we can actually, we might not be able to win it, but I can tell you, we can put a darn good dent in it for Bobby Kennedy. Okay, so I'm just putting that out there, and I'm going to land the plane.
If I could follow you twice, I would. Independent, you are an absolute rock star. Johnny and then Bryce and then Andrew and then JRS.
Yeah, here. These subsidies, I like, you know, Mr. Kennedy says he's a free market absolutist, and you know, we got to end these subsidies. We've got to get back to the efficiency of the market. And, you know, right now we've got these subsidies in the form of all the pollution that we let, you know, the coal industry and all this toxicity. You know, he talks about them privatizing our rivers, you know, because when they put all this pollution in it and we can't use it anymore, it's effectively they've taken our river from us. And, you know, so this is another form of a subsidy that we need to address. And, you know, we're just letting these lobbyists, you know, Mr. Kennedy calls them fat cats, you know, and they get their, these corporations, they get these lobbyists in there and they write the laws. You know, I look at it as imperialism. You know, these are international conglomerates, a lot of times, no accountability here. And, you know, they're taking profits from us at the expense of our lives. And then, you know, taking those profits who knows where. It's ridiculous. It's absurd we're letting it happen. And yeah, nobody's talking about it, which is just even more frustrating. But that's why this moment's so special. I love what Mr. Kennedy's doing. I love this movement. Tommy, I wanted to address your question about reaching out across the aisle and the strategy for that. I'm sorry, I kind of missed your question though. What demographic were you talking about? Were you talking about Democrats or Republicans or Trumpsters or?
Yeah, I was talking about Democrats. So I was a Republican. I'm no longer. I'm an independent, and so, but you're seeing this natural progression from people that supported Trump, and really tapping into Bobby's message. It's just his sincerity, his humility, and he's saying all the things that Trump was not. I'm not saying he's using a soapbox like Trump did to try. It's his sincerity about, and he's actually doing the things. He's going after corporate capture. He's going after he's questioning all the health things that have been going on with the vaccine mandates and their safety standards and all this stuff. I mean, he's doing it, and he's using the science to back it, but it seems like he's getting more flack from what is the left, and I hate to use the left and right paradigm to explain this, but it does seem like he's doing that. So I guess my question is it was geared towards the left, or the people that are predominantly in the left camp, and what he's doing to draw, or not what he's doing, what I don't know how to explain it. You're seeing a lot of people on the right naturally progressing to Bobby because they don't see Bobby as they're disillusioned with the duopoly, okay, and they're not seeing Bobby as somebody who's a leftist. They're seeing Bobby as somebody who's genuine, okay. So, but that's a product of people on the right seeing how ungenuine all this stuff has been going on the right, and so. I guess my question is, how is that?
How do we win? How do we win those who are programmed by CNN? I got you. I'm with you, Tommy. It's a great question, and let me elaborate here. So, it's like I remember Mr. Kennedy saying in his speech to the Ron Paul Institute. If you haven't seen his podcast, he's got 170 episodes, I believe. They're great, a whole range of topics. A lot of people don't even know about that. And that's on top of all the interviews and podcasts he's been doing the last 9 or 10 months. He's been relentless. But one of them there, he's talking about how, when people wake up, when they get won over to the side of, freedom, standing against this nonsense, they don't go back to the other side. And, it's funny because I agree with you. The hardest demographic for us to reach are those who are programmed, who call our guy a conspiracy theorist. Which is berserkers to me, that kind of propaganda works, because we know the government scandals one after the other. It's nonstop. We know the corporate scandals one after another. They don't stop. We know the agencies that are supposed to be protecting us from the corporations one after another, again and again. Bobby says he's lost count of how many times he's had to sue the EPA. And I love that he's been suing all of these agencies. And every time, we win a case like this, Big Pharma's had to pay $82 billion for criminal penalties, for lying, for fraud, for fraudulent studies. They're repeat serial liars. And somehow CNN still can get people to say, well, if you suspect they're doing one more thing, you're a wild-eyed conspiracy theorist. Now that is the power of that media. That's the power of the Mockingbird. That is the power of what they're doing there. I agree with you. It's absurd. How do we break that? I think we just have to reach them when they're open-minded, and we're not all going to get an opportunity to. Because when I meet these people at the farmers markets, a lot of times they'll just say, "Oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. He's crazy," and then they'll just walk away as fast as they can. It's like they've been trained to run and hide from the truth. They really run. So they have this like cancel culture. It's part of their ethos or culture. And so how do we break through? We got to be there at the right time, the right place. I put some flyers together on just some facts about vaccines. We're doing less safety science for them than, a new headache pill or a new antacid medication, anything. Big Pharma, like a bunch of beggars, they went to Congress back in '86 and they said, we're going to have to quit making vaccines. By their own words, they're unavoidably unsafe. And for that, they got a special vaccine court. Now, when they get sued, it comes out of our tax dollars. We're subsidizing them. Once again, like Mr. Kennedy say, we have, socialism for the rich, a brutal capitalism for the rest of us. And yeah, the vaccine schedule, it's gone from less than 10 shots to over 70. And, a lot of these guys you're talking about, they're not open or willing to hear that. And even if you say all that to them, they're still, it's somehow like their minds are just closed. And, but so I got a flyer that I tried to hand to them, and half of them, they'll run as fast as they can and not take it. It's like, I'm not looking at that. I don't want nothing. It's like, okay. I try to tell them I wrote this just for you. It's like, it's wild. It's a good point you make, but we win some of them. I know a lot of Democrats that have come around. I've been won over. So, I think we really can reach everyone who's open-minded and willing to listen. And so let's just keep on inviting friends to be open-minded and give our guy a listen.
I can tell you have experience, Johnny, for sure. And I love your approach of like, are you a Kennedy supporter yet? Oh, no worries. You will be soon. Yeah, very nonchalant. And yeah, you can definitely win these people over. But I bet that's pretty interesting when they when they want to say something really quick against him and then they want to shuffle or scurry away really fast before there's like honest conversation to be had because it's not Twitter and they won't have to check the reply 2 hours later.
Who do we got?
I think,
but Tommy, I just want to say real quick, Tommy, I do have some links for, reaching out to other, Macedonians or conservatives or whatever with some talking points, because they have their own smears. They say, their guy's better for gun rights and our guy's a gun grabber. That's not true at all. Our guy's way stronger for gun rights. He says, put the metal detectors in the schools if we have to. And what are these antidepressants doing? Because we didn't have this problem 30 years ago. But Trump says, what does he say? Take the guns, ask questions later, right? Then the other thing they slander our guy with is about the environment, saying he's environmental nut. Dude, our guy never talks about climate change. He knows that it's such a divisive issue, and there's bigger fish to fry, even on the environmental front. We got all this toxicity taking us out. It's in our food, it's in our water, it's everywhere. We address that, and we do agriculture right. Then, that actually sequesters carbon. And that's the best way we can address that whole climate issue anyway. So let's just focus on the things we all agree on. And so and he's the most outspoken against the tyranny of the carbon agenda, the World Economic Forum, their nonsense, 15-minute cities, GMO crickets, all that nonsense. Our guy's the one yelling, we got to keep our freedoms.
Hey, Johnny, can you throw one of those posts? I know you have a couple of posts that are your favorites for that too. Maybe drop them in the pill. For Tommy to grab, because that would be great.
I will
absolutely. I want to jump to some hands here too, because we got a backlog.
Just one more thing I want to say. One more thing, Liberty. I put in the Nest and in the pill the Wuhan cover up. Bobby's so great on that book. 2 p.m. Eastern Sundays. We're going through it on Audible, and so that's great to know about too.
Yeah, it's been great so far. I've been there in the spaces, and I'm loving it so far. I think Bryce was next, and then Ed just joined us, and JB as well.
My name's Bryce, and I'm a former Republican. It has been 7.5 years since I last Republicaned.
Hi, Bryce.
This is such a wonderful support group, and I'm just so happy to be here. My last Republican presidential ticket was Mitt Romney. I'm very ashamed of that. In 2008, I backed Rudy Giuliani. And I'm very ashamed of that. But it's been a whole 7.5 years, and I'm very proud of that. So thank you for the support group. And I hope all of you have a blessed night.
Because it's Freedom Friday. Bryce bringing some humor and a little bit of fun back to the room, because he mentioned before, meet the press.
Yeah, sorry.
Bryce,
that was
thank you.
Listen,
it's okay. We're having a great conversation. I appreciate everybody here. It is the weekend, so we do on Freedom Friday. It is a little tradition to kick it back a little bit, take a little interlude, take a breath, take a hit if that's your thing. Puff, puff, pass is cool. Take a drink if that's it. If it's just a little bit of tea with honey, that's okay too. Whatever your jam is on your Freedom Friday, well, that's what it is. It's Freedom Friday. Okay. I know there's some hands, but I'm going to take a little host liberty here because I have a question for Independent, because I've been thinking about this since she mentioned the whole wavering of Biden support in the Black community. Independent, who do you think, well, first off, who do you personally want for vice president, for Bobby to pick as VP if you have one? And who do you think would sway that community?
Oh my gosh, that is such a hard question. So, I am a big fan of Tulsi Gabbard. And the reason why is because of what she did. And I'm sure if you being a former Democrat, you know exactly what that is. And so I won't belabor the point, besides to say that she stood up against that party and basically said, no, you're not going to run me. I'm going to basically decide who I want to support. And she was very high in the DNC, right? She was on the DNC committee when she did that. She has been very much a truth teller. And I generally like her. Now, meanwhile, between time, I'm going to go on the other half of it. The other says, hey, well, if you put someone that is not a VP as a Black candidate, can you get the African American community support? And I'm going to tell you, yes. And the reason why is because Bobby Kennedy carries it on his own. Right. It was always a saying, right, back in the day, that Bill Clinton was the first Black president. I don't know if people, depending on how old you are, you may.
I'm old enough to remember that. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Okay. And then there was Barack Obama, which we'll skip.
That really would not pass the test of political correctness these days. But in 1997, my parents loved that joke.
Right. Exactly. Right. And believe me, it passed the test even among African Americans once he went on the Arsenio Hall show and basically played his saxophone. But meanwhile, between time, we're going to move forward, right? Far forward, is that, we had Barack Obama. That was just a complete disappointment for a lot of Black Americans. Just being real, a lot of people don't know that, but it's true, right? And now we have an opportunity to have Kennedy. So I believe that if Kennedy can carry it on his own, whoever the VP that is picked, I think there's enough trust with Robert Kennedy to know that that person is going to be a good person. Again, Gabbard, I understand, obviously, that we may have to, and it is important in order to win and sway some people of the former or current Republican persuasion on that second half, would be she would Thomas Massey, because I just love Thomas Massey. But either way, I know he will make a good VP pick. So, but I do have a lot of love for Tulsi Gabbard. I can live with Ron Paul and also Thomas Massey or whoever it is that he does pick. And I believe the American community could do the same. I hope that answers.
All I want to say, Independent, is I super want to be high up in the DNC right now. Could you imagine getting stoned with Bernie Sanders? I feel like that would just be a lot of fun. That old cranky vibe, sitting next to you.
No,
how would that turn? I want to see that. Here, hit the bong, Mr. Sanders. What's going to happen? Well, let me tell you something.
Oh, we should build a wall at the southern border.
We should build a wall on the southern border. And we should make Mexico pay for it.
Right, I can imagine. See, somebody need to give Bernie some trees and see what happens. Yeah.
I've been speaking to Peter Meyer, and I've been thinking, God, I really want to get stoned with that guy. That guy seems like he's got a stick up his bum.
You remember how we used to use the idea of would you elect a president based on would you have a beer with him? Let's start changing that analysis, that perspective, and tell people, is that a guy that you, or a girl, that you really want to get high with? Because if so, that's the person you should elect.
See,
Does
but
your
Gator, see, that
presidential
kind of fucks
candidate
me up
smoke
though, because
Reginald?
I really, really want to get high with Joe Biden. I want to see what that,
No, that's
I want to
elder
see what
abuse.
that man says. I have a
Stop
feeling that would be
propagating
the
elder
greatest
abuse.
high of my life. Just
And
see
Joe,
this old
Joe
man
Biden's
sit
high
there
without you.
and
Yeah.
just spew all of this stuff would be great.
He's
Dude,
high.
Joe
I'm sorry.
Biden
He's high every
all out.
day because he is on more pharmaceutical chemicals than we can ever imagine.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's cocaine, and I don't want to do that with him.
I don't
I
want to do
love
that with
Freedom
anyone.
Fridays.
No, I want to do that with Ralph Nader.
Fine.
No, wait, I want to do
me
mushrooms
too.
with Ralph Nader. Let's reverse that. I'm sorry. Did I take Freedom Friday off the rails? I'll be quiet now.
Hello,
I love Freedom Fridays,
my
brother. That's
name
we go
is-
off the rails every once in a while. We can pull it
I
back.
will land my
It's a little too
plane.
far. Yeah, go ahead, Independent. Please land.
I will land my plane. I think I answered the question before, Bryce basically got freedom and a Freedom
Blew
Friday.
up the airport? My bad.
I love it.
No, you're
Independent,
good.
Thank you
But
for the answer, though. I love it. I love all of it.
Yeah.
Right
And we
there.
got some hands. I see
Perfect.
Ed's waiting, and JB. I know they just entered the room, and then Asen or Andrew, I think it is.
Yeah,
Matthew, get us in line here, please.
if you don't
All right, we're gonna
mind,
go ahead and
we'll
go to Ed.
Yeah, thank you.
we're gonna go Ed, JB, and then Andrew, JRS, and then Wyatt.
Hey, thanks everybody. Well, after all Bryce's little fun there, I guess I was going to talk a little work, but good work. I've been thinking we almost need a fire department, a volunteer fire department for X, because Bobby's going to get popular soon, and to the general public, and maybe the Super Bowl started that. And as that happens, he all of a sudden becomes a serious threat to both sides. And we know from experience what'll happen then. They're going to throw everything at him, and there's going to be little fires everywhere. And of course, people don't know Bobby that well. And of course, they'll say he's not like his family was. So if you knew them, he's the opposite, or what, they're going to come up with the most extreme on both sides. And with both sides type of ways they do it, which are going to be quite different. I mean, I don't know what name Trump is going to give them, but, we could guess on that. But, I'm thinking since we're on X, we're going to have to be, because I've already seen a bunch of posts and stuff, and it's like, oh my God, we need to have some kind of organized, go at putting out, at making comments and trying to repair with a positiveness, try to bring some truth out into it and do it, with a concerted effort, because I think it's going to be really necessary. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a wildfire, and we're going to have a hard time putting that out. And that's my biggest concern, because, again, people don't know him. They know Biden, they know Trump, for the good and the bad. So, I don't know. I'd like to see us start a little volunteer fire department for both prevention and to put out fires.
Yeah. Without getting distracted, though, I think that, we bring a lot of light into the room ourselves. So when we just enter the room speaking on truths that we do, then it's like, okay, then their arguments are null and void, right? So yeah, just kind of use our arguments as in, like, just stay focused on the ballot access, stay focused on what we need to do, because people are catching on. And yeah, that the power of that propaganda machine, the media machine, it's always going to be there. So just, I hear what you're saying, and I love what you're saying. But as far as like a fire department goes, it's hard. Sometimes I feel like I'm beating on a brick wall when it comes to like defeating the media's, the mainstream media's propaganda. All I can do is support people who tell the truth, people like Bobby Kennedy, and really just wave that flag myself. And there's a lot of other truth tellers out there that are just waiting to hear the message.
What do you think about just focused on X? Because that's where we are. That's where we attract people to spaces. That's where we attend other spaces. That's where we see a lot more posts.
Well, let me give you an example.
I mean, I'm starting to follow a few people, when I see them that are starting to throw it out there, the negatives. And so that I can understand where they're, I mean, because I do that in agriculture for many years. You know, farmers have been blasted every which way. And so you learn how to protect yourself and how to educate at the same time for people that then continue to read the comments on a post that's negative. So that's what I'm focused more on X. I know the major media, you know, I'm not going to battle that, but it's what individuals say that we can, I think, actually directly comment to, because we have a chance to do that because we're on X. Anyway, I'll land it there.
I think I was next. Am I incorrect? If I am, just tell me. I was just going to respond to Ed really quick about what he said, because I think I'm somebody that already does that a lot, just as far as I like to correct and I like to make sure people are aware of the facts and, you know, that they're not basically slandering somebody that they don't necessarily know. There was something that came out a long time ago about Kennedy, and anyway, I had to break down the dates and it took me a while, but finally I got it. And then I posted a thing on Twitter because they were hammering him about it. But then after I posted how I figured they came to that, it immediately ceased. But it was wonderful to see that they stopped, but it was interesting. But I think everybody should do that anyway, about whatever it is. It shouldn't just be Kennedy. It should just be about any misinformation that we see going out about somebody or something. We all have a right to question it, just like Kennedy says.